Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I don't terribly too much interest in, but people need to remember she is the biggest fundraiser in the House on the Republican side.
Yeah. It's from grassroots, just small
Right.
donations.
It's not exactly. Yeah. She's not getting it all from, some type of network of loaded, gym owners. This is who the Republican Party responds to. And despite the fact that she has no power legislatively, I mean,
They don't care about that, really. It's just a meme machine for owning the libs.
We saw the fundraisers with Dan Crenshaw getting on him because he didn't say Trump, the election was stolen from Trump yesterday. So it's no wonder they like Marjorie more.
Yep. And as we have a situation where you've got 5 states now, I think it is, Florida, Oregon, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, who have record hospitalizations now, higher than at any other time during the pandemic. And this is because, despite the fact, and some of these states have almost 50% vaccination rate, others less. The problem is that when we had 100% unvaccinated in each of these states, including all of the other states, we were acting as if there was a pandemic. We were wearing masks. We were not going out to bars. Bars were closed. We weren't going out and functioning like we were in some type of normalcy. And the problem is that if it's 50% unvaccinated, 60% unvaccinated, 40% unvaccinated, they are going out and behaving as if COVID doesn't exist. And so you're getting more people in the hospital. The Delta variant is certainly more contagious by a factor of like 4 or 5 times more contagious than the original wild type. The R naught is somewhere between 6 and 8, whereas the original wild type was somewhere around 1 and 2. But the RT, which is a way of measuring how contagious a virus is, but also calculates in the factors that you take to mitigate that contagiousness, masks, social distancing, whatever, washing your hands if that applies to the virus. The RT is much higher because we have the context of these societies, of our states and our society broadly, is just not taking it as seriously. And so you've got kids going out there unmasked, they're playing at camps, and they're getting, you're starting to fill up pediatric wards. And this is a real problem. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene pretending that she cares about the science of the FDA moving past the emergency approval into full-on approval.
Which is, by the way, another anti-vax dog whistle. That's really the next goalpost that's the area they've shifted the goalpost to now.
She's outlining it right here. You can see the contours of that very much because she's pretending like, well, I don't know if the science is settled, blah, blah, blah. But she's really saying because if you do this, people are going to be compelled to get the vaccination.
My point is she's just getting this directly from like anti-vax message boards on the internet. This is exactly what they're saying.
Right.
So this is concerning to me, and that's why I'm saying there's more research needed by the FDA before the FDA approves these vaccines. Because here's the problem, Anna. Once the vaccines are approved by the FDA, we are going to see the mandates for vaccines ramp up far more than they are right now. They're going to be mandated, and I fear they'll become law in some cities and some states. Biden would love to make it the law of the land, and I think that's completely wrong. Again, I'm not anti-vax. I am completely for people being allowed to make choices, medical choices for themselves and their families. And I don't think the FDA should approve a vaccine that it doesn't seem to be that effective, especially with COVID-19 raging all over the country. At least that's what the media tells us every single day.
Pause it for 1 second.
Right.
Pause it.
I'm not going to take it unless it's approved by the FDA fully. But once it's approved by the FDA fully, it's not that effective, and we can't have mandates. And that's what I'm concerned about. Do you see how like that's going to be the new goalpost once it does get full approval, which it will, for regular use and not emergency use? Then it's going to be, well, I'm not going to take it because I'm making a stand against the mandate, which, by the way, we already have vaccination mandates for other vaccines.
The fascinating part is that her argument as to why it should not be approved by the FDA for regular use has nothing to do with the science or the safety or at first the efficacy of the vaccine. It is because if it gets approved, then we're going to be obligated to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Then she shifts into, and it's not even effective, because if you believe the media, so she's implying that the media is lying about the surge of COVID, but also accepting the premise that the surge of COVID is happening, but then denying the part of that the media is also reporting that 99% of the people who are dying, the vast majority of people in the 90s who are hospitalized are unvaccinated. So she's both accepting that the media says this and then denying that the media says this, and then denying that the media says the other part, to the extent that she accepts that the media is saying this part.
Yeah.
That's where we are at this stage in her first 60 seconds of talking.
Because it gets worse. It gets worse. And I would also love to ask her, too. She's a CrossFit queen. I'm sure she takes a lot of supplements that aren't FDA approved. Maybe we would love to see what is in the C4 she takes before she goes to the gym and gets all riled up at CrossFit, but I digress.
Here, let's listen to the rest of this.
The media tells us every single day, but I've talked to local hospitals here in my district and here in my state. Yes, the waiting rooms get full, but guess what? The waiting rooms are full of all kinds of things, not just COVID, some, car accidents, trauma, other illnesses, cancer, and so forth. But they're seeing about 30% of those numbers being COVID cases. So while the news tries to tell us the hospitals are slam-packed with COVID, that's just not the case. Everyone needs to get back down to common sense and remember that, we're human. We can't live forever. We are going to catch all kinds of diseases and illnesses and other viruses, and we get hurt sometimes. So I'm all for let's be rational with this. Let's be careful. Let's be cautious. And let's not turn into an authoritarian regime that forces shots in arms of people that don't want it.
All right.
There's lots to think about there.
There's, I mean, it's almost, the level of stupidity is almost overwhelming. I mean, it's almost like you almost feel like you're drowning in it, but
almost drowning in the water cooler, you might say. Hard to miss that yellow logo again.
Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.